Hey everybody, Melissa here again. If you joined me on Friday, you'll remember that I was talking about how the importance of abiding in the Lord and the importance of being filled in the Spirit, that it's not a one-time thing, that it's an ongoing thing, and that it's something we really need to be involved in on a daily basis. And I ended on Friday with the question, how do we do this? What are some ways that we can have this work out in our life? And so that's what I want to talk about today. And in thinking about this and in living this out in my life, I've realized that it is a daily decision. Now, when Craig and I got married, we had a bunch of friends write us letters to keep as keepsakes. And one friend wrote, she'd only been married about maybe 7 years longer than us, but she wrote that marriage was just daily. In other words, we have to get up every morning and decide to be committed to our spouse, to treat our spouse with respect, to overlook and forgive, to remain committed to what you've said that you were going to do in your marriage vows, but that it has to be a daily commitment. Otherwise, it won't work. It's got to be daily. And this idea that it's just daily is something that's been very much on my mind about walking with the Lord. And I've really been looking over the last couple of years at models of how to do this. So I know that some of you, many of you probably, study your Bible in the morning for a long period of time, and that really orients you toward the Lord earlier in the day. And I've always found that to be really, really challenging. I prefer to really look at the Word and spend more time in the Bible and in prayer at night when the house is quiet. But there's this thing about recommitting in the morning and talking to the Lord in the morning that I've really been thinking a lot about. And so I have this author named Dallas Willard, who I really, really love. If you haven't heard of him, I really encourage it. This is one of his books, Hearing God. Really recommend it. And it's not in this book that he says this, but I can't remember where I read it. But he talked about that every morning before he'll put his feet on the floor, he'll say the Lord's Prayer and Psalm 23. And praying those two to the Lord would just orient his mind and his spirit toward the Lord for the day. And then he'd go forward. This really stuck with me. Simple, do it the same thing every morning kind of thing, but it really stuck with me. And then another book I've been reading lately that our small group is also planning on looking at is The Common Rule by a guy named Justin Whitmore Early. And he talks about a habit of, let me get the right word of it, framing the morning in love instead of legalism. And he talks about that he's made it a habit to put himself on the floor on his knees just as he rolls out of bed, and then orient his mind and heart toward the Lord right then. It might be a very short prayer, but orienting his mind and heart toward the Lord before he even leaves the room. And so these sort of ideas have really been compelling to me. Our days kind of start with a big bam in our house and tend to get moving pretty fast because we have a young one really up really early, and I wake up a little slower than that. And so I've just been really working on how to invite the Lord into my day earlier. And so I just want to say that I've found that specifically asking the Spirit of God to just be manifest in me, that I know that I can't do or be who I need to be or do today on my own, that I need the Lord to walk with me and to please come in and just walk with me today in what I'm doing, because I need the fruit of the Spirit to be active in my life. That it makes a huge difference, just that short prayer, Lord, thank you for this new day, and here's what I'm asking, please be with me and help me, makes a huge difference. The days that I orient my brain early on like that versus the days that I don't, there's a difference. He wants us to ask. He wants us to invite him in. We have been freed from the power of sin through the Spirit, but walking in the Spirit every day requires a daily reorientation, a daily commitment. I just want to end with this verse from Galatians 5, which is just after the fruits of the Spirit listed in Galatians 5. Since we live by the Spirit,
let us keep in step by the Spirit. And so I just want to encourage you today that we're not designed to do this life on our own. We're not designed to handle the challenges that He's given us. In fact, one could very much argue that the challenges in our life are an opportunity for us to learn to lean on Him, to seek out His help, to seek the Spirit in our daily life, because He wants to abide in us as we abide in Him. He wants relationship with us, and it's only through time spent together and through walking through life together that relationships are built. And so I encourage you today, be being filled with the Spirit as we walk through these days together. Be blessed. Bye-bye.